Soul Hugs with Suzi. So I promised you some therapies that I did after my husband died and which ones were my favorites. The first one we're going to start off with is spirituality. A lot of people probably turn to God, the universe, to figure out, try to make sense of what happened, especially if it's a quick death. Bill was here 1 minute, gone the next. It was 4 hours from him saying, I don't feel good, to gone. So the first thing I did within 30 days, I reached out to some friends and said, send me your best psychic. I had to find out what happened, where he was, how he was doing. I wanted to understand the whole process. I do not recommend this unless you thoroughly vet the psychic. The first one was not nice, and we are not in a place to handle something like that. So, you are your best psychic. You are the one that's going to sense when they're around. That is what you know. You know this person better than anyone. So the other day I was lucky enough to feel him. I knew that he was here. I looked at my watch. It was 3:31. That man walked in the door every day at 3:30 like clockwork. And the feeling that came over the house was just a sense of peace, of calm. And I am like a hurricane. I am going, 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 going. And when he was around, he grounded me. And I think that he came at that time so I would recognize it. It made sense to me because that's when he came home every day. I've dreamt about him. My kid has dreamt about him. We have visitation dreams a lot. There are other signs that I have of him, the dragonflies. Cardinals are always in my yard. I mean, it's a lot. And I highly, highly, highly recommend writing down all of your signs. So when you're having a shit day, I mean, just a shit day, and they come in waves, as you know, you can look at your sign journal book and feel better and know that they're still with you and they still love you and they are still looking out for you. So that's my 2 cents on psychics, your best psychic. The next thing that I did, or in conjunction with all this in my spirituality path, was watched a ton of near-death experiences. And I think there are way too many of them to discount them. I think it really helped me understand what happened to Bill. They say that it's quick. So even if they're in a horrific car accident, that they don't feel the pain. It's just over, which was great because Bill's experience was not pleasant. So I'm hoping that these are correct. And yeah, so watch some near-death experiences. They'll help you get through it, help you understand what happened. At least they did for me. I also watched a whole bunch of Reincarnation. And in case you don't know, UVA has a whole department on this. This is pretty impressive. So they have this whole department. Kids will they'll remember their past lives, and UVA will match up the facts of what happened in this person's past life to this kid. They'll check them out, and then they'll reach out to the family members of the person who's deceased and say, hey, do you want to meet this kid? Because some of the kids need closure to let go of the past life. And some of them do meet, and some of them it's wonderful. I imagine some aren't. However, I know if UVA came to me and said, hey, this kid was born on such and such a date, and they say they were Bill Noyce, I would hug the shit out of that little kid. If he was comfortable with it, hopefully he would be. So the universe will also send you, at least they did for me, a whole bunch of other different people to help you get through this. one person was from Facebook Marketplace, and he was an ER doc, and he explained aortic dissections to me because that's what my husband died from, and explained that there was nothing that I could have done. And that was very helpful because that was really early on in my grief. So that was wonderful. Then another one, Dawn and I went to Kerala, and horses were coming up to us within a couple of feet of us to be around us. That was very spiritual. And it was right beside the fire department back in Kerala. There were 911 medics, and we talked about spirituality and people who have crossed over, and messages that we receive, and relationships that change, and the relationships that you get to have with your person after they die. But the greatest thing that I got from this girl, or this woman, was that she witnesses when people cross over. She witnesses the soul leaving. Oh, the night that Bill died, the 911 medic at the house told me to start saying goodbye to Bill. So I had to change my tune really quick from hysterics to, I love you, honey, and it's okay. And I'm going to miss you with all of my heart. And it's okay. I love you. So, do I believe that the medics know a lot more than what we do before we experience death? Yeah. So that was my first therapy that I did with myself. Did I know at the time it was therapy? No. But was it a path I needed to go down? Yes. The other therapies that I will talk about more in depth are the grief groups that I did, how I handled those, how I didn't handle those. Some were good, some weren't. Of course, my e-bike I've talked about a lot of times. Traveling, I went to Sedona, I've been to Maine, I've done car camping. Let me see, I've talked about laughter, hugs from my kids, the crying and screaming, releasing energy. There are a ton of options for us to do. We just need to find what works for us, and I will go over more in the next video. All right, y'all have a good one. Oh, remember to love yourselves hard, because if you don't love yourself first, it's hard to love others. Play out in the sun as much as you can, and give yourself grace, because we're only human. All right, love you. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.